You're listening to Sox in the Basement, a production of the Broadcast Basement Limited, where every show is 30 minutes of good and comes from a basement bar on the south side of Chicago. Pull up a stool, pour a cold one, and join us right now for Sox in the Basement. Heard everywhere podcasts can be found, and always at soxinthebasement.com. I want to talk about the things that are good to start off the show. Let's just get them out of the way, okay?
Fine.
All right. I'm really happy that when...
So what are we going to do with the other 29 minutes of the show?
When Moncada started to slide back to getting some strikeouts and the average was dropping and the correction was happening over the last week, it didn't continue the slide. He leveled out again, hitting at least over 300. He's still contributing it to the team. He still looks very good. I'm happy with him. All right. When Eloy Jimenez got on the road, he did something that I was hoping to see him do, and that is have even better at bats. Look even more into things. Had a two home run game against the Yankees.
Yes.
In the rain. So maybe he's like a mutter. I have no idea. Okay, maybe he just loves bad weather. I have no idea. But one theory, or at least something that I've heard about Eloy, is that his home life has not been the best living in Chicago.
Interesting.
We met a guy when we were at Sox Fest. Big fan, came over, got a Sox in the Basement hat. And he lives in the same building as Eloy Jimenez. The only reason I noticed is because he exchanged cell phone information with me because he wanted to meet up later on. I was like, yeah, cool, man. And I just swapped cell information with him.
Okay.
And then I never heard from him again.
Interesting. Well.
And he starts sending me text messages about a week or so ago telling me he thinks Eloy lives in his building. And then he writes me maybe about 2 days later and he goes, yeah, he's living here. Now I know why he's doing bad. The HVAC system that's controlling the climate inside of the building is broken. And he's like, all of us have been complaining to management for at least the last month. Nobody's getting any sleep. You go to bed, and all of a sudden it shoots up and it's 90 degrees inside of your place, and you get up and you're sweating and you have to adjust it. Then you wake back up and it's 45.
Oh, my God.
So he's like, if everybody's walking around like a zombie in the hallway, if it's happening to me and it's happening to my neighbor and it's happening to the girl upstairs, it's happening to Eloy. See what I'm saying?
Okay.
Now I'm like, I don't even know if this guy's living with him. I don't even know if this is true.
I mean, you got to kind of take that with a very large pile of Mortons. Remember that salt heap they used to keep on like 67th and Cicero?
Right.
You need a pile of salt that big.
Okay.
To take
then
it
he
with.
goes on the road
and he starts raking.
And he starts raking because he's sleeping in a hotel. And I'm like, maybe there's something to this. Now, here's my concern. If I, a simple podcaster in his basement in Evergreen Park on the south side of Chicago, can learn that your biggest prospect that's come up in decades.
It's not even their prospect. They got him from the Cubs.
But he's having a problem sleeping and it's affecting his performance. If I can find this out, whose job is this on the White Sox to find this out?
Chris,
because they should be fired.
Chris, first of all, nobody ever gets fired on the White Sox. Number one, let's get that out of the way. Number two, we've been over this. Don't you remember? We were the guys on Twitter that ruined the Jock Peterson deal. Remember that?
It's not the team's fault.
It's not the team's fault. It's the Sox fans' fault.
Sox fans.
We're the reason why they don't. We're the reason why they don't have the money, quote unquote, to go and sign certain big free agents. It's our fault because we don't show up to the park.
All right. So, but here's the other thing now. Then you have Tim Anderson raking, Dave.
Right.
The amount of grief we gave Tim Anderson last year, and I kept sitting there saying I want him to prove me wrong at least through the first half of the first month of the season, raking.
Well, he's doing it with the bat.
He's willing. Hold on. He's willing the team to victories because they have at least matched your 6-win total that you said at the beginning of the year they would have for April at the midway point.
Yeah, but that doesn't count. Some of those wins came in March. That doesn't count.
Because of Tim Anderson's hitting. Okay, Tim Anderson is just killing the ball. Here's the problem. Eventually, he's not going to be hitting over 400.
Right, and how many games is he going to cost you with his glove?
And we're going to lose games because he's not going to be able to save you with his bat, and then you run into the glove, and that gets me to exactly what Ricky Renteria said on Monday night that made me just pound my head off the table in front of me while I was reading it on my phone. Tim Anderson is a 5-tool player, according to Ricky Renteria.
Oh, my God.
Now, here's my problem.
Omar Vizquel is coming. Omar Vizquel
Here's
is
my
coming.
problem.
Omar Vizquel is coming.
It's okay for fans to get overexcited. It's okay for fans to not evaluate players the way that they probably should be evaluated because they're fans and they love their team and they want them to be good. Look, it's totally fine for those that are Daniel Palka fans. Went out and got Daniel Palka jerseys to still believe
for
that
49.
Daniel Palka is going to be a good player. It's not realistic. He's more than likely Nicky Delmonico a year later, where he showed flashes and it was exciting, but it's a new year and not everything's working out for him. Like last year, he would go 0 for 4 with a couple of strikeouts, get to extra innings or the ninth inning and hit a home run, be the hero, and we'd all celebrate a guy who actually went, 1 for 5 in a game with a couple of strikeouts, but had a big moment. But that's not happening this year.
I would like to talk about Palka later.
Okay, we're going to get into that.
No, but when the manager misevaluating or over-evaluates
Yes.
or overvalues the players.
Any one of those words will work.
Yeah. You got a problem. That's why I'm over here like, Omar Vizquel is coming. Omar Vizquel is coming.
Okay,
like
listen.
it's going to happen. So
No,
that's
screw that
good.
up. They'll screw it up. He'll get hired away by another team because he won't be ready to be a major league manager yet. like Tito Francona. He was in our system.
Oh man, why you got to do that?
We decided we didn't need him. My issue is he believes in these players and they're not what he believes them to be. He's sucked into the excitement a little too much, I think, personally. I don't think this is trying to build up Tim Anderson's confidence. Somebody might say, he's trying to make him feel better. But come on, listen, there's 5 tools. If you don't know what the 5 tools are in a 5-tool player, it's hitting, it's power, it's speed, it's fielding, and it's throwing.
You can do 3 of those.
You could argue that maybe, like some people might say, well, he actually fields very good, but he makes bad throws, or he throws very good, but he makes bad plays. But I've seen both so far with his errors this year, which are second amongst all of Major League Baseball so far amongst qualifying players.
Yeah, leading the league in as far as shortstops are concerned in errors. With
Right.
He's up to 4 now,
And
right?
it should be 5 because remember,
It should be 5 because Kansas City scorekeeper was nice to him.
We're keeping a real track of his actual errors. He's actually at 5.
Right. No.
His
he's
fielding
second.
percentage is 30th out of 31 qualifying shortstops in Major League Baseball. His range factor, which is a way of trying to say, okay, as a shortstop, how much ground does he cover? How much of an influence does he have over the play sitting at that position? Is 17th out of those 31 qualifying. So he's sitting dead center in the middle as an average shortstop. So range factor wise, he's an average shortstop.
And we talked about this with, not to interrupt, but we talked about this with Engel anyway. I mean, how much stock do you really put into those rangy, fantasy
You're right,
baseball
you're right. But
stats,
I want to make sure I address it because you're going to get people who are going to like certain stats.
Sure. Okay.
There are sabermetric stats that will show how many runs he either gives his team or loses his team. He is currently on pace to lose his team 29 runs with his defense this year. Okay? So we said it. If he rakes at the plate, he's a part of the team. I don't know if he's a part of the team at short. See what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But he's a part of the team. So I'm still very happy with what Tim Anderson is bringing right now because compared to the other crap that's on the field, he's spectacular. And he still has the ability at his young age to get better. I mean, Ron Kittle said it on the show. You can improve defensive players. Guys can get better defensively. Guys can get better at fielding their positions. So that could happen. He may also be best suited for someplace else. He may also just be a guy that we have to deal with a hole at short, but he hits 300 every year. You take that. If he hit around 300 every year and he knocked out 30 home runs and stole 30 to 40 bases, you'd be like, you know what? He's an average defender at best.
But he's winning you games with the bat, right?
He's winning you games with the
bat. He'll lose
bat.
you games with the glove, but he'll win you games with the bat. So you would think it would all balance out if the guy is going to hit 300 every year.
Call him a 5-tool player.
No. He's not. He is a 5-tool player. He is not.
And don't tell me that he was a 5-tool player and he's having a bad year because if you look up those same stats, he hasn't done well since he's really been up here.
Yohan Moncada is more of a 5-tool player than Tim Anderson is.
He's
Agreed?
Yes, agreed. Because even though he's made a few errors at third base, he's still getting used to a position that he hasn't played now in several years.
He's only made 2 errors at third base, and he's made some really nice plays. Yes, I agree with you.
My dad made this really interesting analogy. We were sitting at the game. He used to play Stratomatic baseball. Now, older baseball fans or kids that grew up with dads who just loved baseball played Stratomatic baseball.
I remember Stratomatic.
Okay, you remember Stratomatic,
yeah,
right?
I remember
There was a
that.
Stratomatic club at Brother Rice. We actually like started a club at Brother Rice High School where we played Stratomatic baseball, and you would get we would have a draft and draft players off of the major league rosters to make our own Stratomatic teams and play each other. It's a dice game. It takes into account the stats. It's basically the original sabermetrics. Before there was sabermetrics, the way that some people would compare baseball players to each other was look at his Stratomatic card. Is it a good Stratomatic card or is it a bad one? What does he really bring to a guy? Is that luck or not? Look at his Stratomatic baseball card. Well, my father's sitting there and he's looking at the team, and they used to like rate your fielders. You know, a 1 is like just a superstar fielder, okay? A 2 is a very above average fielder. Okay, a 3 is an average fielder. A 4 is a terrible fielder. He's like, we're a first base 3, we're a second base 4, we're a shortstop 4, we're a third base between a 3 and a 4. We'll see how his season ends up. We're a right field 4, we're in a center field 4, and we're a left field 4, and our catcher could be a 3.
Wait, you're talking about this team, and he's talking
right now.
Your dad is talking in Stratomatic numbers.
He's looking at this team's Stratomatic numbers. He's like,
basically
pointing out this team is terrible defensively. This team is terrible defensively.
Yes, it is.
Anybody who tries to defend the defense of this team, it needs to have their head examined. Okay, Polka can't field and right field very well. He does have a pretty good arm. I saw him make a really good throw of the plate the other day. Leury Garcia is making terrible mistakes out in the outfield. And for every time that he makes a good play, there's a play where he gets the ball and has to wait an extra 3 seconds to figure out where he wants to throw it. When you teach little leaguers, if the ball comes to you, know what you're going to do before it gets to you.
You know, and you got Eloy out there who's learning.
Eloy is learning, but there was always this knock about him. You bring up his minor league stats. The knock was always
his defense.
He's a little aloof when it comes to fielding the ball. Okay, he's not going to be the guy that's going to come at 110% coming in and diving for the baseball. That's not what he is.
No.
And it's something that clearly they were trying to teach him in the minors that he's not figured out. So you're not going to get great defense in left field from Eloy Jimenez. He's not here for that. So I know that maybe to Ricky, compared to the other guys on the team, Tim Anderson's a 5-tool player. Compared to the rest of the White Sox, you could make an argument that Tim Anderson is a 5-tool player. If that's the standard you're holding them to. But that's not what they are. And he needs to learn, Dave, how to evaluate talent on a level with the other teams that he has to play. Because right now he's not doing it.
Sox in the basement. Sox in the basement. Sox in the basement.
So I'm reading this article. It's written by a very angry gentleman, much like myself, about how things are going with the White Sox. And the crux of the article is, why are certain guys still playing? And you only have really 4 or 5 guys on this team that are going to be here when the team is good. Now, the reason why this makes me furious, Chris, is because this is exactly where you were last year. This is exactly where you were. You had 4 guys maybe on this team. We talked about it. You're like, yeah, these guys are all bums, but you want to watch these 4 guys because these are 4 guys that are going to be there when this team is good. And here we are. We still have 4 guys that we're watching this season. And I would have liked to think that this team would have given us a little bit more at this point of the rebuild, as far as, watching only let's watch a game to see what Anderson does, or let's watch a game to see what Moncada does. It needs to be better.
First of all, before we continue, because I am with you on this, I did look up while you were talking. Tim Anderson compared to all the White Sox players,
sure,
still sucks. Still not a 5-tool player. Still only Omar Sanchez is worse at defense right now in the early part of the season. All right, look, you're right. Ryan Cordell should never have been sent down.
No, because okay, go ahead, and then we'll get into the right field issue. But go ahead.
He should never have been sent down because I don't know why you're married to some of these players. Why are you married to Daniel Polka? You're not married to him. You picked him up off of waivers, and he was a cast-off from the Twins organization who gave you some pop and gave you some fun. But if he's not earning a spot on the team, why does he get 3 months? I don't get that. Cordell came up and showed something. He showed something. He showed enough in spring training to be the first guy that they brought up when they needed somebody coming out of the box because they had injuries. He comes up. He in the limited amount of time that he's given by his manager, who again I think is not evaluating the team. Rick Hahn told us personally at Sox Fest in front of a crowd that Ricky makes the decisions. Now, I don't know if I believe it, but that's what he told people with Ricky Renteria sitting there next to him.
So right now.
So if Ricky Renteria evaluates his team and says, I don't need Ryan Cordell, maybe Ricky Renteria, it's time for you to go. Because here's the problem. Ryan Cordell goes back down to the minors in the AAA, right?
Yes.
And goes 5 for 5 and hits for the cycle. It's like almost like, I can't believe you guys wouldn't let me play for the last 2 weeks when I was up there. And in the rare moments where I did get to play, I did well. And then you send me down and I actually get to play and I show everybody I can hit. And I'm ready to play. And he's not going to be a star, but why not give him a shot? Why isn't Danny Mendick up here? If you don't like Jose Rondon, but you still think Yolmer Sanchez should be your utility infielder, then, and you know Nick Madrigal is coming up at the beginning of next year or very shortly after the beginning of next year because that's your plan. Why isn't this kid Danny Mendick, who impressed you in spring training, why isn't he up here getting a chance at second base? Because the guy you're trotting out there every night at second base sucks at defense, sucks at hitting, can't make decisions, and he's so screwed up in his head. He's got relay throws coming in where he's bobbling the ball and letting guys advance extra bases in games.
Right.
And that's not even being brought up because the camera barely catches it, but every time I see a throw coming in, it's bouncing off his damn glove.
So and again, you just to kind of put this in perspective, the right field thing first. Hey, Pulcomaniacs, you are right now. Your guy is sitting at 0-29. He is batting 0 for 29 to start the season. Dude has not even gotten a hit yet. And the defense he's playing out in right field is awful.
Well, he has no errors.
Awful.
He has no errors.
No, but
his range factor is under 2.
No, there are lots of plays, Chris, that should have been made out there because he can't get to them.
That's where range factor comes in.
And he's diving after balls when he should be pulling up to turn it. Now he's turning singles into triples. So why do we keep rolling him out there? I have the same question about Yolmer Sanchez. Yes, Yolmer is a fun person. Yes, Yolmer gives good interviews. Yes, Yolmer dumps the Gatorade. I'm sure Yolmer is
he was a blast at Sox Fest, man. It was a fun symposium.
But at some point you have to be like, dude, this guy cannot play baseball, and we
not
have
as an everyday player.
No, and we have to see. Is there anybody else that we could at least fill in at second base until Madrigal gets up here? We know, Chris, there are people that could come up in your system right now and contribute in right field more than Daniel Palka is.
And I
don't know why they're there. What are you trying to do by not at least seeing what you have in these guys?
Well, that's what bothers me here. If you were so against, first of all, the shell shock after not getting Machado is inexcusable because there were still players to be had, and you sat back and did nothing. You just basically just took defeat. You lost. You know what you were? You know who Rick Hahn was? You watch Game of Thrones?
I do not.
Okay. Well, for those who watch Game of Thrones, Rick Hahn got reeked. Okay. The character that's in there, Theon Greyjoy, who loses his manhood and then loses his will. That's what happened. Rick Hahn was reek that week. Okay. He was afraid to do anything. He let second basemen that were out there that aren't great second basemen, but are guys that were better than what you had for
serviceable dudes.
Yolmer that he could have gotten for 1 or 2 year deals. He let them just go to other teams. Okay, I mean, Marwin Gonzalez went to your own division, and so did Josh Harrison. He went to your own division, to 2 teams. One of which that is going to most likely win the division because the Indians are just everything's going wrong for them.
Yeah, the Indians are falling apart.
So the Twins are going to win most likely with Marwin Gonzalez, and then a team that's just started their rebuild in Detroit.
That would be Detroit.
And
yeah,
they're like, but we don't have a second baseman, so we're going to get a second baseman. See what I'm saying? And then you get Adam Jones, who everybody's like, well, he can't do anything, and the guy's killing the ball down in Arizona right now. If you felt like, well, we don't want anybody to be blocked, but then you're also telling me that Luis Robert, we're going to evaluate after the season. That's what Rick Hahn said this week. We're going to evaluate after the season where he should be in our minor league system.
Same thing with Madrigal.
Okay, Nick Madrigal. Okay, so these guys aren't coming up this year. And
also like Basabe.
Right.
He's another guy. Like he's tearing the cover of the ball. He's been tearing the cover off the ball down there. You're not going to see him this year because it's the same line. They're going to be like, well, we're going to see where we're at.
And that's what bothers me. You were either thinking to yourself, we're going to give some of these guys a chance to fight their way onto this team, and we don't want them blocked in the 2019 season. Or you weren't going to have them blocked because they didn't have a chance. And if they didn't have a chance, and you thought Leury Garcia, John Jay, Daniel Palka, Yolmer Sanchez, These guys that are out there right now that are not contributing to your team or barely contributing to your team, or I know Leary's that got a fairly good batting average, but his defense is suspect. Right now, if he didn't have so much other suck around him, you'd be sitting there saying he was the weak link.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
If that was your plan, you're bad at your job. You're bad at evaluating talent. Your Major League Baseball scouts are bad at evaluating talent that's available to you. You're bad at somebody needs to go. You say it all the time, and you're right. There is no accountability.
No.
But there should be some accountability. I mean, like in a perfect world, if there was accountability, it's very easy to figure this out. Either A, your scouts are bad at finding pitching, or B, your guys in your minor league system are bad at developing pitching, or C, Don Cooper's lost it and can't get guys to pitch at the major league level. But one of those three things are true. It's like find the answer and remove the problem. But you can't tell me all of them are doing a good job.
No.
If your manager has an influence on your lineup and your pro scouting has an influence over who you bring in, and your general manager is the guy who's deciding what the plan is long term, one of them screwed up.
And continues to
and should
screw
be
up.
Fired. This is the problem.
Chris, we have said, listen.
Their solution to our anger too this week is instead of having 3 days of Sox Fest, reducing it to 2. Because that way there'll be less chance for White Sox fans to get in.
For something to
and
go
less
wrong,
chance
yes.
for White Sox fans to walk in and cause trouble and be angry because they're going to be pissed after the season's over. This is how they treat us. This is how they treat their fan base. You know, somebody told me the other day, you're not a diehard fan because you're upset with the team.
Are you serious?
And I said, well, hold on a second. We're all diehard fans. Anybody who would put up with this and still have an interest in this team is a diehard fan. Anybody. Whether you're angry with the team or not angry with the team, you're a diehard. Because logic would tell you to go find something else to do. Play Parcheesi on Tuesday nights with your wife and your children.
Hey, man, don't knock it till you try it.
Do Dungeons and Dragons like you do every couple of weeks. Do it every Saturday night.
Hey, man, don't knock it till you try it.
Make that your Saturday night.
Listen, I'm going to tell you something.
Start a podcast in your basement.
Listen.
Find something to do. But here's the thing. Your entertainment dollar and your time you're still spending with this team, even though this team has shown you time and time again that they're either incompetent or they just don't care. And it's frustrating. Like, I've tried to be the voice of reason and being happy. And you know what? There have been some good things that have happened this week with this team. I'm happy that there's been some progress. Like I said, like at the beginning of the show, Moncada, Anderson, Jimenez, this is good stuff. Rodon had a really nice game. That's a good thing. The back end of your bullpen looks solid.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does.
But you're not even interested, it seems like, in re-signing Abreu. And he keeps telling you in the newspapers about how he wants to stay here forever. What's your plan at first base? Because I don't understand why he's beginning.
Please don't tell me your plan is Yonder Alonso.
You see, that's what I'm saying. And you're making poor decisions. You made poor decisions in your offseason. Take Machado and Harper out of it. You made poor decisions in your offseason if they weren't even involved. You weren't ready for this season.
No.
And if you want to tell me it's a rebuild and you're trying out players, then start rotating some of these guys up here that are proven they should be on the team. I want to say congratulations to one of our Twitter followers at Los Sox out of Aurora, Illinois. I know where he lives because I'm shipping him a brand new Reynaldo Lopez autographed White Sox hat. Thanks to everybody who participated in our most recent contest, following the show, sharing the show, commenting, and rating the show. We will do another one of those very, very soon. Now all we need is for Ray Lopez to actually pitch well, and that prize will be worth a little bit more. Look, the Padres bring guys up when they're ready. And I'm not even talking about the Tatis thing. Forget the Tatis thing. It happened and it's over, okay?
Right.
But look at the Padres. Dinelson Lamet. I probably have screwed up his name, but I don't cover their team. Here's a pitcher that comes up last year. He pitches real well for them, and he hurts himself. He goes and he gets surgery, much like Michael Kopech. They have Chris Paddock down there. He's like the 62nd highest rated pitcher right now. Something like that. He was in the 60s or 70s or something like that in terms of major league prospects in the pipeline. For the White Sox, you wouldn't be anywhere close to sniffing the major leagues because you're so far down on the MLB pipeline list. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Paddock earns his job in spring training, pitches well, makes the team.
Right.
Okay? There's excitement. They're trying. They're playing. They grab a mixture of veterans and bring them in. They don't worry about the fact that they have 6 or 7 outfielders, because they really do. You can sit there and you can list all the outfielders that were at one point in their system. And you know what they do? When a guy doesn't hang in there, they get rid of him and bring up the next guy.
Yeah.
That's a rebuild that's running properly. Their philosophy with their players is to bring them up when they are ready. And if a guy comes up and can't hack it into majors, go back down and earn your way back up again.
As I said, look at what the Twins are doing. The Twins have been doing it for decades and decades and decades now. Why can't we be like the Twins? Why can't we be like the Twins? Oh, the Twins this, the Twins that. Look at always what the Twins do. Dude, they're 8 hours north of you. Okay, the model is there. If I'm in charge of the White Sox, and I'm sitting around going, man, God, look at these Minnesota Twins. These, gosh darn it, these Minnesota Twins, these pesky Twins, they get to us every year and their rebuild is going better than ours. Why can't we be like that? You know what the first thing I'm going to do is? I'm going to fire a bunch of people in my front office that aren't doing their jobs, and I'm going to start plucking people either who work for the Twins or who used to work for the Twins, and I'm going to be like, hey, what are they paying you? I'll increase it by 25%.
Well, you know where you go? You go to the Rays.
There's another team.
Since the year 2000, let's just take a look at the Rays and what they've done with manager turnover and Joe Madden.
They've rebuilt and won, and then they've rebuilt and then won again, and they've rebuilt again, and now they're winning again.
And they have no fan support.
No.
They got a big empty stadium. And yet they still want to win.
It's amazing.
They still want to win.
It's amazing.
The White Sox are currently listed in the top 5 most profitable teams, according to Forbes magazine that came out in the last week. They were in the top 5 most profitable teams in Major League Baseball last year. And they rated in the top half of Major League teams in net worth as a ball club. And then you sit there and you cry poor to me. And then you sit there and you say the things that you say and you run the organization the way that you do. But here's the thing. Jerry Reinsdorf doesn't care. He's making money. He's making money on a loser, so why care? I mean, we've said this before. Why would you walk into it? Why would you want to even go through the stress of life where you have to walk in and fire people and hire new people? Jesus, I made $74 million next year. All my partners are happy. Trust me, he goes into a meeting every month, and those guys sit down and say, Jerry, I want my money.
Right.
Jerry, this is my investment. I could give a crap if this team wins or loses. So these are just a boardroom of businessmen who are like, man, we should have a party. Let's all go out and get some steaks. Okay, get some girls. We just made $74 million.
But here's
Who
the thing,
gives a crap if this team sucks?
But here's the thing, though. I forget the name of the book that you quoted.
The
scorecasting book cited the White Sox specifically as a team that if they spent more money, they would make more money.
No, he's totally satisfied.
By percentage.
He's totally satisfied with making what he's making because it's safe. When in reality, he could actually be one of the top earning and one of the most valuable. I mean, he's a major market team. He could be one of the most valuable and top earning teams in Major League Baseball.
Yeah, you could be the Mets, or you could be the.
But he doesn't want to be that.
Yeah, I know.
He doesn't want to be that because he's safe and he's happy and it's an investment and this is an investment. That's all he cares about. It's an investment. I mean, seriously. In the end, when you're an old man, if somebody sat there and told you can go through a lot of heartache and headache and fire guys and do all this stuff, or you can just sit back and continue to make $74 million a year in your one company while you got another sports franchise that's making money too, because that place sells out all the time and the team is terrible and going nowhere either. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so why would you do it? At this age, why would you do it? Why would you do it? And so this is where we're at. We could yell all we want to about him, but it's not like he's going to wake up one morning and have this change of heart as to how things are running in the organization.
Then here's the thing. If you're going to take that approach to where your business is making you enough money that you're happy about it, okay? So if you're gonna take that approach, then here's the thing: don't blame the fans. Stop that.
He doesn't do that though. It's the guys underneath him that are.
Well, but it's
the guys underneath him are doing it because if they blame the fans and it
all starts from the top. Chris, if you
work for a man like that, and you're secure in your long-time job in Major League Baseball, because I bet you right now, if you sit down and you looked at guys that work in sports field, they don't have long lifespans. You don't stay at the same team for 30 years. See what I'm saying? It's not like working for like county or city government.
You do if you work for the White Sox.
But it's not what it's normally like. But everybody loves security, Dave. Everybody loves security. And if keeping things secure is making sure that no other rising star within your organization takes your job away, and you have scapegoats like fans or things that don't go right or where the Cubs are the problem or anything like that. If you're able to walk in and tell that owner that these are what the real problems are and it's not me, and he's willing to buy it because he doesn't want to have the trouble and he likes your jokes and he gets along with you at the luncheons, that's what you do.
Yeah.
I know that that's hard to hear, but that's what you do. And that's what this team is. This team is a team that makes money. It's got an owner that's like, hey, I make money. Guys, tell me what I want to hear. He's
oblivious to what the real problems actually are.
I sit in my office every day with all this giant memorabilia, and everybody calls me one of the greatest owners in history.
Oh, don't even get me started on that.
But that's what they do. Okay, I own 2 teams. I've had wealth. I've had a good life. Everything has gone very well for me. I've got my World Series trophy I can go look at whenever I want to go look at it. And these guys tell me everything's going to be fine. And when they come in and they tell me what's going on, they make sense to me, and it's not worth arguing.
Unless Jerry, you just pitched a button. You just pushed a button.
It's not worth arguing.
Unless you could take that greatest owner crap, forget that. Because unless Jerry Reinsdorf sent a Jedi mind trick to the Portland Trailblazers organization back in 1986 or 84, whatever it was, to take Sam Bowie instead of Michael Jordan, he does not get to wear that badge of honor.
We wouldn't have any of those championships with the Bulls.
He does not, unless he did that.
The Bulls would have never won anything. Okay, right now he would have been an owner that never won an NBA championship.
Yeah, unless he did that, unless he planted some sort of mole in the Trailblazers organization. Guess what, Jerry? You don't get to wear that badge of honor because you got lucky.
Here's a question for you: if Michael Jordan isn't drafted by the Chicago Bulls, would Jerry Reinsdorf still own the Chicago White Sox? And would it have been better for White Sox fans if Michael Jordan would have never been a Bull?
That's an interesting question. Because,
I was thinking about this week. Would it have been better for White Sox fans that Michael Jordan was never a Chicago Bull? And if it were, and you White Sox are your favorite team, would you have been like, man, I really wish he would have never been a Chicago Bull?
Because what might have happened, I think I'm following you on this. What might have happened was, even though like the Bulls were bad before Jordan, they were still making money.
Right.
And then maybe he would have said, well, I can't have 2 of these organizations. I'm going to sell one of them. He's always said he would get rid of the White Sox. One of them being the White Sox.
He always said he would get rid of the White Sox.
That's an interesting question.
So is that a possibility? I mean, I was thinking about that this week. Could Michael Jordan be the reason for all of our problems?
No, you know what though? I'll take those 6 championships.
Yeah,
it's fine.
I don't want the 6 championships. The pro basketball so far down my list, I don't care. I would give them up in a heartbeat. This is like if I had a time machine. Do I go back and kill Hitler, or do I make sure that Portland drafts Michael Jordan? Like, these are the questions I would have. You have one chance to go back in time. I'd have to think about that, at least for a few good minutes.
You have some serious issues if you're asking yourself that question. People call me crazy about being mad about the White Sox. This guy, man.
Another show is wrapped up. Another show's in the books. Another show is wrapped up. And then by the looks, it's going to be a good one. And we'll see you next week. And the nude is basement. And the nude is basement. Another show is wrapped up. Another show is wrapped up. Another show is wrapped up. And it's in the books. Another show is wrapped up. Another show is wrapped up. And by the looks, it's gonna be a good one. Nude is basement. Broadcast basement. The nudist basement. The broad basement. Slancha. That was like Dropkick Murphys or something, right? I felt like it.
Are you or someone you know looking to learn how to play a musical instrument this year? Then you should be checking out Westgate Music School, 6527 West 127th Street in Palos Heights. Private music lessons for all instruments, including guitar, piano, drums, voice, bass guitar, violin, banjo, ukulele, and more. Are you a vocalist? Are you ready to play a musical instrument and looking to join a group? Westgate Music School offers group classes for rock band, a cappella vocal, and barbershop quartet. Students of all ages and ability levels will have the opportunity to perform 3 times a year in a student concert. Gift certificates for Westgate are also available. More information, call 708-586-7002 or go to westgatemusicschool.com.
Sox in the Basement. Heard everywhere a podcast can be found and always on soxinthebasement.com.